Welcome to Anna-Thea's Body Wisdom. And I have here a very special guest today, Taya Malakian. Taya, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
That's very close.
Okay, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Malakian, but it's a tricky one.
Malakian.
It was a name that came to me through marriage, so it took me some time to get it right too.
Okay, well, it's so wonderful having you here this morning.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to having us talk about pleasure.
Yes.
And it's going to be very, we've already been talking a little bit about it before this interview, and I think we share very similar concepts and ideas and passions, actually, about really wanting to support and empower women and have them really reclaim their bodies as sacred. And all right. But what I want to do is first introduce Taya. Taya, thanks for taking the time out to be here with us.
No, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. It's fun connecting with you. I've gone to Taya's Kundalini classes, so I don't even know, how long have we known each other?
It must be at least 5 years, if not more than that.
Yeah, how long have you been teaching at Wild Mountain Yoga?
I've been teaching for 4, and a student there for much longer.
Oh, okay. And I've been here in Grass Valley for almost 7 years. So
nice.
Who knows? But anyway, it's a joy to be around, and I really love your classes.
Thank you.
Every Tuesday night, 5:30 to 7 at Wild Mountain Yoga in Grass Valley, in Nevada City, California, if you're ever on that part of the planet. All right, so Taya is a poet, an artist, and a mystic, and a yoga teacher, a Kundalini yoga teacher. She has a degree in religious studies with an emphasis on women's issues or women's studies. And what is the other emphasis that you have it in?
Well, holistic healing. So what I studied was the different religions and the healing traditions that were connected with those belief systems, and it's really fascinating to take holistic healing to that level.
Wow, great, cool. And so what she is also very passionate about is helping people to go deep into their soul, and understanding their depth on a greater awareness or sense of awareness. Am I saying that correctly?
Oh, that's a beautiful way. Yeah, beautiful way to say it.
Yeah. And I know Taya, in talking with you too, that with this whole astrology thing, that you're Scorpio, and that makes you want to go deep. You have the ability, you have this depth about you, and I think we live in a very, in many ways, a very superficial culture. And so we need people like you that help us go deep and discover the beauty and the grace and the passion and who we, the creativity that we individually are. And that I love going to your classes. Wish I had more time to go to your classes.
I wish you did too.
I end up doing a lot of yoga right there in my living room.
Well, that's always my goal too as a teacher, is not to get people to just come back to my class, but just to help inspire people for their home practice. Yeah. Because I think that daily practice is so essential. So that's great.
Yeah. And as I've gotten, as I've deepened my yoga practice, I'd say I do more home practice, but there's nothing better than going into community and doing yoga with other people. Yeah.
That group energy.
Yeah. All right. So let's just engage about pleasure. We want to give the listeners some tips and tricks around pleasure and and what the idea of pleasure is, how it relates to our bodies as women. So, actually, what would you say is pleasure? What is pleasure?
That's a great question. I mean, for each one of us, we have certain things that we say, this is a pleasurable experience and this is painful. And, as we go into our yoga practice, those lines really start to blur. And we find ourselves categorizing things less and less as far as experiences being pleasurable or painful. And it just becomes experience. And it's so easy for us to forget that we came here to this planet for many reasons, but the main one is for experience, to experience what it's like to be in a human body. And the human body is designed to create sensations that are pleasurable and sensations that are painful. I mean, every few hours, we're hungry, we're thirsty, we need something more, we need to be fed. We need to be cared for. And so that pain is an innate in our experience. But if we look at things as just experience and sensation, and if we really drop into those experiences and sensations, then we find this pleasure. And it's not necessarily the pleasure that we think of, like, the fireworks that go off during an orgasm, or, falling in love, or getting a massage, things that are so pleasurable and delightful. But we find this like pleasure that's inherent in everything. And I really love that. I really think in our culture, it is kind of that superficial layer that we find comfortable to exist in. But if we go a little bit deeper into every experience and really, really experience that experience, even sadness can become really beautiful. And that's, as a poet, some of my best poems, or, in my opinion, best poems, have come through when I've been in a place of deep sadness and finding that beauty, the beauty in just having a powerful experience, even if it's not one I would label as pleasurable. So I think for most of us, that concept of pleasure, what is pleasure? It's so much vaster than we give it credit. And so if we're just kind of looking for a narrow idea of what pleasure is, we're constantly going to be seeking for that little window of experience. But if we broaden our idea of pleasure, where we can find pleasure standing in line at the DMV and just having a few minutes of being still and breathing, and that becomes pleasurable, then we have more enjoyment in our life without having to make drastic changes from where we are right now.
I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is that we need to broaden our horizons to what we think pleasure is. Here's what we think pleasure is, and we're chasing it.
Right.
When we actually say, this is pleasure, all of these can be pleasure, then we start experiencing more pleasure. And what I'm hearing you say too is that it's really, we experience pleasure when we come into the present moment.
Definitely.
Of whatever what is, because along with that sadness, if you bring presence into it, you're actually bringing a sense of pleasure into
right.
it. Yeah.
And it is so often we're not in the present moment that we can be doing something pleasurable and missing the experience because we're not present with it. And then after the fact, when it's done, we want more because we didn't get to experience it while we were in, something that we would label as pleasurable. And so it really, at first it might sound, a little dull to be going so deep into the present moment, even when we're sitting doing something we don't like. But when we really become present with it and really focus with it, then we really get to experience it, so that when that work that we're doing or whatever is done, we have a sense of fulfillment. And I think that fulfillment is what we're all really striving to achieve, the sense of fulfillment. And we don't get it because we're just not present with whatever it is we're doing, whether it's something enjoyable or something that's challenging.
Wow. And as you are saying all of this, you are assisting me in becoming more present.
Oh.
Because I'm, it's in my awareness, and actually I'm experiencing pleasure.
Yay. And it is, all of this is practice. And that's why we say it's a yoga or meditation practice. And so, it takes us a lot of time to get present. And so when we catch ourselves being too far in the future or too far in the past, it's like, just come back to the present. It's always here. And we can always come back to it. And the more we acknowledge the moments we're not being present with something, it's just, then we get to practice. That's our practice, is coming back. So yeah, it's never something to like judge ourselves about. Oh, I'm never present. It's like, just acknowledge it and see what happens when you become more and more present. And when we're more present with our children or our partners, we get to really experience that there's more to them than meets the eye.
Right.
That there's more to them than we even know. And we get to experience that a little bit more in each moment, and the freshness of the people in our lives, that we're all constantly changing and growing. But if we're not present with the people in our lives, we overlook their growth, and we overlook the changes that are in store for them. So it's really a beautiful practice, a powerful practice to be present, but it's not necessarily an easy one.
Right.
It takes lots of practice. So
I guess we could say that presence equals pleasure.
I would
once
say
we
that.
start practicing it.
Yeah. And actually, if you don't mind, there's a poem I want to share that
Oh,
just
totally. Yeah, please.
So this is from the book, The Forgotten Love, which is a book I released earlier this year. And it's one I shared at Valentine's Day because I get so frustrated with Valentine's Day marketing. So all the things they want to sell you to be this perfect Valentine. So this poem, it's called Lover. I will teach you the secrets of how to be the best lover. There are no positions to memorize, no costumes to wear, no objects to acquire. To be the best lover, you must love. Love the person in front of you with your whole heart as the doorway through which the infinite can flow. And see how the infinite shines through them. See the light in their eyes, the glow in their skin. Feel the warmth inside of them bursting to touch you. Take your time in seeing them, all of them, each cell of their being, each fiber of energy, until you see how they connect to you before you even touch. There is no finer way to be a lover than this. And so that goes for romantic love or friendship or, parenting. When we really sit with the people who are there, or strangers even, and really take the time to go beyond the small talk and really experience them as souls. And that's sometimes I'll walk around, Nevada City. There's so many different people that are walking around. And when you look at people just on the surface, you get one experience. But if you look at people like they're souls and that their appearance doesn't do them justice at all. Whoever they are, there's so much more than their appearance. It changes the whole dynamic of relating to other people, even strangers, even if you don't say a word to them. You just get to drop deeper into that realization that, oh yeah, we're all here having this wild ride of experience. We're all hungry and tired and wanting to be loved. And then we, even that little smile in the eye, that's so pleasurable because you're making a soul connection. And it's something that could be totally fleeting and unfulfilling becomes very rewarding and could change someone else's day, just as simple as that.
Well, it's namaste when we really can. And so the other thing is, like, we're all walking around with our costumes and inside is the mystery.
Oh, yes.
And when we can share each other's mysteries, then we have love. Then we have love,
Yeah, and to me, that mystery is so rich. And so many people, they are scared to even explore their own mystery. And so the idea of connecting with someone else's mystery is just so alarming. But it's so rich. There's such a richness in our mysteries. And when you're in partnership, especially, we think we're interacting with someone based on, who they've projected themselves to be or who we want them to be. And then when we start touching into the mystery, that uncertainty gets a little scary for most of us and we kind of shy away. And that creates so much pain. And so here our pursuit of pleasure creates so much pain because we're looking outside of ourselves for something that we really need to look inside of ourselves for first. We need to explore our own mystery and just honor it. We might not be able to understand it all mentally, but we feel it in our heart and we honor it and respect it, even if we don't understand it. And then we can honor and respect that in others and not, get frustrated when they're not playing the part we thought they auditioned for in our lives.
Right, which happens often.
Yeah.
So how can we, so to discover the mysteries that we each hold so that we can be really fascinated by each other all the time, I think what would be a good thing for that to happen is to really create a healthier relationship with pleasure.
Yeah.
And so how do we, as an individual, create a healthier relationship with pleasure? Because that's how that's like you said, that's what we're chasing with each other, right? But if we can create a healthier relationship, and it's not just pleasure with another, it's just pleasure overall. So what would you say, to create a healthier relationship with pleasure?
Well, I really love to come to meditation, and it doesn't have to be a structured meditation, but just taking a few moments of the day and just being with yourself. I think for so many of us, we want to spend time with others, or we want to watch our shows, and we want to do this and that. And that's all great. But if we just take a few minutes or more, if we have more, to sit and really be with ourselves and not do anything and not try to change anything, but just come to a place of it's out of love. You know, a lot of times when we meditate and we do yoga, we're trying to improve ourselves, or we think we're broken and we're trying to fix ourselves. But really what we're doing is we're trying to grow. And that's growing is coming from a place of love. And to grow, we have to check in with ourselves. We have to see where we're at, and we have to get quiet so we get kind of the next step is delivered. And so any type of meditation, I think, is such a good way to drop into pleasure, because you're immediately going into yourself. And when we go inside of ourselves, we can check in with what it is we really need, or what it is that would really be pleasurable, instead of getting caught up in what, you know, maybe society is saying, or our friends are saying, you know, do this because it will be fun, or you'll enjoy it, or, you know, reading an article in a magazine on how to create more pleasure in your life. Like, really, we're the authority on what's pleasurable for ourselves. And so checking in with ourselves first is, to me, it's the number one step on the journey to pleasure.
Yeah. And when we start doing that and cultivating that inside of us, I remember years ago when I was taking the Kundalini teacher training program, and I was also doing my Divine Feminine certification at the same time. I would teach my Kundalini classes and say, why go out on Friday night to dinner and wine and all that when you can just sit home alone and be in your body?
It's true.
It's just so much fun to be in your body.
I've spent many Friday nights home meditating instead of going out, because to me, that's just so pleasurable. And it doesn't cost anything, and it's not contingent upon anyone else. It's just, you know, it's available to us always, always. And that's kind of another piece I wanted to share. And this has been a big lesson for me, because I'm such a scurrier. I'm, you know, single mom. I work full time. I teach in addition to that. And I write poetry in addition to that. So I'm always kind of racing from here and there. And it dawned on me one day that the pace of bliss is just a little bit slower than my normal pace. And if I just slowed down just a little bit in everything I'm doing, you know, as I'm racing to the post office, if I just slowed down, and instead of racing, it's not going to take it, I'm not going to get there any faster by racing. But if I just mentally slow down and breathe a little bit deeper and let myself rest into the moment instead of racing through the moment, it's so blissful. It's like there's just this quiet bliss that's always just a few steps behind us until we slow down and match its stride. And
I love that.
It seems so simple.
Okay. So I think that's one of the big tips we want to leave our listeners, right? Is just to take time during the day to slow
down.
I love the way you say bliss is right back there. If we just slow down, it comes.
It's really like, and that's been my experience. And so whenever I catch myself wanting to push faster and race, I just go, okay, whoa, that's my cue to slow down. And then all of a sudden, everything flows better, because I get into a flow. And instead of me trying to make something happen, I just get to merge with the infinite and let the universe make things happen. And I get to enjoy the moment instead of forcing the moment. I have one more poem I wanted to share that really touches on that.
Okay. But can we give the listeners, what do you do? What helps you to slow down? Because I'm the same kind of person. It's like I have had to really I have this motor inside me that just wants to go.
Me too. I have that same motor.
It's what do you do to help yourself slow down? And that's what I'm working on, is really slowing down, becoming present, slowing down during the day. So are there any things that you can share with the listener to help you remind yourself to slow?
Yeah, for me, it always comes back to the breath, like starting to breathe deeper and just, take that deep breath. And it's something that's not yogic wisdom. I mean, that's just, everybody knows that, but the matter of doing it and then physically moving a little bit slower, like taking your foot off the gas and driving the speed limit instead of over the speed limit. Letting your walk be a pleasurable walk, because even in our bodies, I love taking dance classes, and in one of them we were learning how to do the walk like in the tango, and you roll and you stride, and even our normal walk, we don't necessarily want to walk like a tango dancer, but you take that sensation of what does it feel like to walk in your body, and what does it feel like to move through your hips, and to move, let your shoulders follow, and really experience your own walk. And so when you come back into the body and you slow the body down, and it doesn't have to be like all of a sudden you're moving ridiculously slow, but just a little bit slower, instead of that, racing where you're not in your body and your feet are moving faster than you need to, you drop into just a state of more graceful movement. And then your walk becomes pleasurable because you're really in your body and you're really experiencing what it feels like to walk.
You're actually guiding me into it right now.
Because there's so much pleasure in our bodies. And I think as women too, we're taught so often that our pleasure or our sexuality is in relation to someone else, and typically in relationship to a man. Like, how do you present yourself in a way that is attractive to a man? How do you move your body in a way that's attractive to a man? And, most of the men I talk with, they tell me that if a woman feels attractive, she's attractive. If a woman looks beautiful to herself, she's going to look beautiful to the men. They're far less critical than we are of ourselves. So why not go into ourselves and really do what feels pleasurable to us, dress in a way that is beautiful to us, and really embody our beauty, not based on what the magazines are, because we all know that's not even real. But how do we, in this beautiful form that we've been given, that's a perfect container for our soul, how do we embody beauty and pleasure and really experience that for ourselves, even when there's no one else around? And how do we hold that in our bodies so that, every cell in our body feels that pleasure, and we're not cut off because we're trying to maybe squeeze into clothes that aren't comfortable for us, or hold ourselves in a way that we think is attractive. We want to just let all that go and just be what we really are.
Yeah. And that takes time, cultivation, and commitment to self.
Definitely.
Okay, so let me do this. I want to hear your poem.
Oh yeah.
And I want the listeners to sip it in.
Ooh.
Not just with their ears, but with their intuition, with their hearts. I want to really honor you, Taya, for your poetic ability. And so listeners, I want you just to open your heart to Taya as she shares her next poem.
Thank you. And this poem really captures that slowing down.
Okay.
So it's called The Chase.
Ooh.
The mind wants so badly to understand this mystery. Each person on your path holds a clue. Each quiet moment offers the chance of insight. The mind tries to weave them together in some form that makes sense to it. But this world was not meant for sense and understanding. This world is meant for wonder and awe. As soon as the mind picks up the trail, the universe changes course or climbs up and out of reach. But as soon as you sit still and open your heart with each breath, the universe can no longer resist you and surrounds you with its infinite embrace.
Okay,
and
so
I love.
let's just feel that for a moment. Surrounds you with infinite embrace. Is that what the final sentence?
Yeah.
Infinite embrace. Ah, nice. I can feel it. So what did you want to add to that?
Oh, just that's what, in the yogic teachings, they really say, especially for women, we want to chase things. We feel compelled to make things happen. And really, if we can just be and sit, and of course, there's work that we're doing in the world. We're not just sitting in meditation all day, which sounds amazing, but we let things come to us. We don't chase after the universe. We let the universe chase us. And the more we're present, the more we're in our bodies, the more comfortable we are with who we are, the more just naturally comes to us. We get into a flow where life becomes easier because we are not chasing and going off our center for something outside of ourselves. We're realizing that everything we need is within us. And the deeper we go within, the more fulfillment we find in our lives as they are, and the more pleasure we find just that's available to us within arm's reach instead of somewhere far, far away, or someone who has their own life's path and may or may not be in alignment with ours. So.
Well, women, we are the innies. Mm-hmm. Men are the outies and we are the innies. And so us upping our receptivity it can only be good. I have one of my teachers said something profound to me that I always remember is go towards that which is coming towards you. So just like you said, not chasing things.
Yeah.
In the way that we to become a magnet to positive experiences.
And we do that through feeling that positive, that bliss, that pleasure within us, because like attracts like always. So if we're in a state of fulfillment and pleasure, before we go out on Friday night, we're going to have a better time than if we're looking for an experience or looking for someone to fulfill us. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Mm-hmm. Well, great. I think we're going to kind of go towards concluding. I don't even know how many minutes we've been on here, but I guess we want to go back to that tip of really reminding the listeners, see if you can do that practice throughout the day, and the breath helps to bring us back to that slowness. And I love the idea that bliss is back here. If we just slow down, she comes right into our body. I love that. And then you mentioned another tip was, the experience of experiencing everything. But I think we already talked about that. But do you want to give more to the listeners about a tip on the perspective of bliss, of the experiences that we have? Of just accepting them, non-resistance. How did you put it?
Yeah. Well, I think, I think that something comes up and we say, oh, this is bad. Oh, this is good. This is what I want to happen. This is good. And just letting things happen without labeling them, just experiencing things like, oh, okay, wow, this came up and I'm feeling this, like, there's an energy to it. And without kind of boxing it into this energy is this, you just let it be and watch and see. And, there's a great story, a Buddhist story of wait and see is the message of it. Everything that happens, you wait and see, because things that we think are good, they might not end up happening, or they might end up being a sour deal. Or the things that we thought were a sour deal might turn into something incredible, an incredible opportunity we couldn't have planned for ourselves. So with everything that comes at us, experiences, we just experience it as experiences. Like, whoa, this is a sensation. Like right now I feel really cold and I'm really cold, and I'm going to go into that experience of cold because we did come here for these experiences. We're wired to experience all sorts of sensations. And we always try to keep, the thermostat or the temperature in the shower at like just the right comfortable temperature where we're not too cold and we're not too hot. And if we get a little too cold or a little too hot, we get upset and frustrated by it. But look at this planet. It's cold. It's hot. There's all these experiences. And when we go into the cold and really experience cold, there's an energy to it. We feel alive. When we go into the heat, we feel an energy. It's purifying. It's medicine for us. But we kind of stay in this comfort zone where we really don't grow in either direction.
You know what you're making me realize? Pleasure comes from surrender.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's in the non-resistance, and it's in the surrender to the coldness, surrender to the heat, that then you open to pleasure.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's powerful. I think we're all learning how to surrender, right?
Oh, yes.
How to
Of course.
go with the flow and all of that. Yeah.
So much to learn. And you have something coming up, right? You have a big offering that you're going to make to your community.
Yeah, I'm actually teaching online classes, and I call it a
nice.
mystery school. It's an exclusive group of women. I keep it to a limited amount. And I teach different modules, and the one that's going to be coming up next is manifesting more pleasure.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, freedom from self-criticism of your specifically of your body.
Nice.
And so I'll be talking about the 7 pleasure principles, and I will be talking about the history of women, and also teaching a healing modality that you can use with yourself and in relationship to refine your sexual energy and to bring that sexuality into the heart. We think sexuality is just below the waist, right?
Right.
Or kinky stuff up here. But when you start bringing sexuality into the whole of your being, and you can share that with another, you first have to learn how to share it with yourself, I believe.
Right. You know? I agree. You got to go into.
That's why I think that Kundalini is so powerful, because it's a very full body experience, but coming from your root chakra up.
Right.
And what do you have coming up next?
Oh, I have, I'll be up in Tahoe teaching a workshop I call Healing the Deepest Wound, which is really about getting through the illusion that we're all separate from each other. It's a powerful, powerful workshop. And then I'll be in the Bay Area reading some poetry and teaching another workshop that I call Sensitivity as Strength. And so it's really taking, everyone's sensitive, but most of us try to shut down our sensitivity, and we shut down our gifts to our intuition, just our perspective of what we are when we close off our sensitivity. So I love teaching that as well. Yeah. And I'll be at Lightning in a Bottle this year, so I'm excited for that.
And where's that?
It's down in Bradley, California. It's a big music and yoga and wisdom festival, so it'll be really fun to participate here.
Nice. Well, next week I'm going to the Satnam Fest.
Oh, beautiful. I love Satnam Fest.
I'm going to be there with my sister.
Oh, how fun.
I know. And so we have so much fun together doing yoga. We did gymnastics together as little girls. And so every time we get together, we do yoga. Or not yoga, we do some kind of physical activity. We've even rigged it so that we can do it online when she's in her house in San Diego and I'm here. We've done it together.
That's so sweet.
So wild.
So wonderful.
Anyway, this has just been a total pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure as well.
And I want to encourage everybody to look up Taya. How do we find your website? I think it's Tiffanaya.com.
Tiffanaya, yeah.
So you want to spell that for everybody?
It's TIFFANAYA.com. And so that has all my yoga and a lot of my poetry is there, and then links to the books if you're interested. So
that's beautiful. Oh yeah, the book you have, it's called The Forgotten Love. The
Forgotten Love, Poems of Love and Longing. So that pleasure that comes from both, the pleasure and pain in both.
Right, and we're chasing pleasure, but we need to become friends with pain in order to have more pleasure.
Exactly. Yeah. The
Okay.
last place we would look.
All right. So I just want to tell the listeners, if you want to get more of our juice, right? Look up Taya, look up me. I'm at Anna-Thea.org or leaderoflove.com as well. So we wish you lots of love and lots of pleasure and lots of joy. And remember, today, as you're going along the day, take a few breaths, slow down. Bliss is right here. It's chasing you. You're thinking, you're chasing it over there. Slow down and it just settles right into your body. Thank you, Taya, so much.
Thank you so much, Anna-Thea. Such a pleasure.
Namaste.
Namaste. Satnam.